I'm super excited. I have this 16-inch MacBook Pro M1 with 64 gigs of memory. Let's bust this puppy open. So it looks like there's a ripcord here. Let's just pull it and let's see what's in here. Now I have very high expectations for this. I also had high expectations in 2016 and I was a little disappointed. But let's see what we've got here. We're lifting the lid right now. It's beefy. All right, let's do it. I've never seen one of these before, so this is my first view at it. Wow. Okay, this is exciting. It feels quite thick compared to what Apple's been doing for a while. That's because the sides were formless and without void. And then suddenly God spoke and said, let there be ports. And there were ports. Look at this. We've got ports on both sides. Love it. All right, let's see what else we've got here. We have the MagSafe connector, and it's a nice braided cable. That feels really nice. We'll get to that. Now there's something I'm just hoping. I'm so hoping there's a power brick. Oh, yes. There is a power brick. Okay, so this is also going to go into the brick on one end, USB-C to MagSafe. Let's just see how that feels. Oh, it's strong. I missed you, MagSafe. That is really gripping really nicely. All right. Okay, the actual footprint here is pretty much the same as before. That has not changed at all. Now, in thickness, definitely a little bit more beefy. Sharper edges, not as rounded on the edges as the old one. Actually, it feels like it's kind of rounded on the bottoms more. Oh, look at that. Look at that embossed in there. MacBook Pro. Moment of truth. Pop it open. There's that beautiful chime. The Apple logo. Let's take this off. All right, one of the things that I just have to address right now is the notch. I'm looking at the notch here. It's got a little bit a thinner bezel at the top than the previous 16-inch. So if we look at the previous 16-inch, notice, of course, there's no notch because it has the bezel that's thicker. But if you look at this, it actually starts higher on here than it does on the other one. And that might have to do with the fact that this computer is thicker. So if I was to take this up to the same height, okay, the screen is pretty much the same. So what we've got is a slightly taller screen than we had before. So the screen real estate is it's got a little bit more screen real estate. So even though we've got this notch, which in time I'll let you know if I think this is annoying or not, because there's only one small camera in here. There's a huge notch there without sensors or anything in there. So it's much bigger than it needs to be. But we'll see if this extra screen real estate up the top there is going to make it worthwhile. This review that I'm doing here, I'm focusing on the hardware. So we're going to be looking at things like the screen, the size, the dimensions, the feel of this. I'm going to be doing another one soon where I'm going to take some time and I'm going to test out the performance, and I'm going to show you guys the performance of this using things like Photoshop, Premiere Pro, and we're going to compare it to a 16-inch MacBook Pro and also to the M1 13-inch. Now the one that I have here is the 10-core 64 gigs of shared memory. Now remember, it's not 64 gigs of RAM, it's shared memory, meaning that it uses it like RAM, but also the video uses it, and also the CPU uses that memory. So it's a shared memory that goes through everything. So if you get the 16, that means your GPU has 16, and that's why I really wanted the 64 because of that. Now I got the M1 Max, of course, and I spec'd out everything except for the drive. I got the 1 terabyte SSD. And the reason for that is with Apple, you pay a lot of money to get those extra terabytes. And everything I can work on here with 1 terabyte, no problem. And then use external storage to move my media when I'm not using it, or maybe I'm working with video. I can attach a very fast Thunderbolt drive to that and can edit off that as well. So 1 terabyte is fine. The display, let me have a look at the brightness. So I can turn this brightness up. Wow, okay, so that is nice. Okay, so this is very bright. And they claim a peak brightness of 1500 nits and continuous brightness of 1000 nits, which is very, very bright. Now, True Tone, I'm turning that off. If you're a designer or a photographer, anybody working with color, make sure you turn True Tone off. Otherwise, your color, you don't know what color you've got. It's constantly shifting. So we have the 6-speaker sound. Let's have a listen to some of this. Let's go to iTunes. All right, just listen to the audio, and yeah, it sounds good. It goes louder than I need. It's very loud. Now, listening to it on a hard surface like this is kind of a glass surface is not a good way to test bass because you're not going to get any. So I put it onto a wooden surface where the resonance could go through, and I was getting a little bit of bass out of there. I mean, it's not earth-shaking bass like they might have led you to believe on the keynote, but you can hear a little bit of bass there if you're on the right kind of surface. It's interesting because the shape is a little bit more square, kind of like how they used to be back in the day before they went for that new style in 2016. But I'm looking on here, I see 2 Thunderbolt ports, headphone jack, thank goodness. We've got the MagSafe, which means we're not using one of the ports for power. On the other side, we've got another one, we've got an HDMI, and we have a card reader. An SD card reader, thank goodness for that. So photographers and creators everywhere are saying thank goodness. I don't have to carry that little adapter around with me all the time anymore. So that's pretty nice. So my first impressions on this, the screen looks beautiful. The notch, I'm not sure if that's going to bother me or not. I'll let you guys know. You know, the sound quality feels really good. Obviously, the build is good. Is there smell there? You know, I've noticed for the last few years they don't have that new Apple smell anymore. It's just no smell at all. Now the keyboard, jury's still out. I'm going to have to type on this keyboard for a little bit and let you know if I like it or not. So when I come back with my full review, I'm going to let you guys know what I think about the keyboard. Now, what kind of things would you like to see me test? I'm going to get this done as quickly as I can and get it up for you, but I'm also going to take the time to do it thoroughly and make sure that I properly test this. Hopefully, the performance is going to be everything I want it to be. So let me know in the comments, what do you guys want me to test? Is there any particular apps or any particular hardware things or anything you would like me to compare it to? Let me know in the comments, and I'll be back soon with my speed test and my full review. So if you're new here, welcome to Photoshop Cafe. Hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, you won't miss any of my videos. And if you guys like this, do me a favor, hit that thumbs up, the like button. It helps us with the YouTube algorithm. And until next time, I'll see you at the cafe.